As we focus on the finishings of the interior of the boat, over the latter part of the summer, we turn to making our door frames. There will only be 3 swinging doors in our catamaran, and each one opens to one of our 2 heads. Matt built a basic mold from 2x4s, which he then covered in packing tape and glassed on multiple sheets of our 1208 fiberglass, creating the straight vertical edges leading up to the radius at the top of the door. One side had already been bonded into the frame of our master hull, and fairing was done around the edges. Now it's time to turn our focus to the guest wet head to get the frames installed and faired.
Finish work. Putting the trim around the doors for the head on the port side. So this is the guest head. To make this trim, just laminated 6 layers, I think, of 1208. Together, it is about 3/16 of an inch thick of solid glass. Heavier than I wanted, but still lighter than wood trim if I were to put that around. Kind of see, just rough cut it. The plan had been to make a mold for this, but over the course of time, the head over on the starboard side's door is slightly different size than what this one is, so that would have required 2 molds. And then the forward door has a little V shape in it because of the dagger board case, because that angle we put in the dagger board case. So that would have required 3 molds. I wasn't going to do that at all. So instead, what it is, I just made flat panels, cut out 1.5 inch pieces from that. And then for the top, rounded off a little section quickly. And we are doing that. And so this particular door, it's got a bottom round as well. That's going to be 4 separate pieces that will just be bonded to the door frame. Just some light glass around here to fill that in, and then faired and painted. So nothing real complex. Just trying to make it as quick as possible with still having something that looks halfway decent.
79 years since I last wore. I don't think it can go on much more. I can feel it. We can feel it. Got peacetime.
Since we already had an epoxy primer sprayed on the surface and didn't want to mess with the polyester resin, Matt mixed up some TotalBoat epoxy and thickened it with colloidal silica to bond the fiberglass frames to the bulkhead.
It don't much matter if it's left or right, you just mean it. There ain't no retreat. We'll beat each other up with what we know. Keep our heads down, let them get some more. We don't need it. Let them keep feeding. Now we're picking our friends up. Wondering when the well went dry, asking where it all went. Take a step back.
What you saw Matt glassing just a minute ago was the door cutout, which slides over the bulkhead and gives the frame its general shape. But he still needed to make the jamb for the door to rest against. So to get the radius for these, he used our 1-gallon containers from TotalBoat, which were the perfect size. Now that Matt has finished putting the frames around the doors, which the only real closable doors on our boat are the heads, so we've got one leading into the master head and of course the two separate doors on the guest one, let me take you down and show you what my part is. The bands just came off here today and I think Matt got it sanded down, so this is the raw fiberglass frame and you can tell, well, this is still dusty, but rough edges. It needs to get faired in, and since the majority of this area is about to get hit with high build primer in the next few days, it'd be good if we can get some on here too. I started just a little bit there because again we have leftover fairing compound sometimes, don't want it to go to waste, but sand that down, finish it. Leading into the wet head from the aft guest berth, I've gotten one light coat on just all the way around. I was kind of waiting for it to get harder before I went with the second one because on this, might be a little hard to tell now, but there were a lot of indents in here. Yeah, you can kind of see, especially here, that I wanted to be able to press it in, so I had to get like a light skim coat. Now that's in there and hard, I can go through with another thicker coat. And in our master head, we are much further along. The outside frame to our master head has been in place so long now that it has already gotten a coat of primer on it, but I do need to go back and kind of straighten out this filler line here. And then over the past day or two, I've just been going through again that first kind of thin coat and then a thicker coat. So it's already starting to flatten out a lot here. Kind of just in this spot, I just took this flexi sander, started going over it. So I'll do a skin sand on that again and get another coat, but mostly it's just going to be adding and sanding off as per usual.
Let's stop and stare for a minute, cause there is divinity there where the sinners breathe. They work their jaws, raise the hands of beyond.
Let's see how demolition is going. It's been going on and off since this morning. Now it's just in bits.
I'm at vantage point. Message from the highest, now it's coming up my mind. Let it rain down on my body, watch it blossom in a month. We did the labor for nobody, now it's time to build the fruits of the art of our souls. Let the truth once again.
There is one pass with our TotalFair epoxy fairing compound. So just going to let that harden. Should take about 2 or 3 hours. Do like a quick little sand and then another coat. And you can tell this still even has the fibers and other things. It's not the smoothest, but after I get one sand on there and do another coat on, it should start to look a lot better. It has been a few days now of working on the frames here and just getting multiple coats of fairing compound on it because, of course, edges and things like that have to be taken care of. And there's one thing every day I keep putting off, but today is going to be the day that I actually take care of it. Something that's on both sides, so this is the aft door. And the forward one here too. And if you'll notice, there's of course lots of fairing compound all the way around. One of the big things I've been doing is to try and get this edge squared out so that Matt can take the router to it. But one thing I have not done is focused on the area down here, and that's specifically because there's still resin, thickened resin down here that hasn't been sanded down, so I haven't been able to fill here. It affects multiple areas, especially when this frame was first placed in. This is our cabinet on the outboard side, and you know, all this will be open, and this place will be behind the face of a cabin door, so I'm not too worried. But in here too, there's areas that I guess it kind of started to fill, but yeah, thickened resin down there, so very hard just to sand off by hand. So I finally went digging in all of our things today and got this little belt sander, mini belt sander. It can be kind of aggressive, so chances are I'll have to go back and overfill because I'll dig too deep. But yeah, I'm not going to hold it off anymore because we really need to get primer on these in the next couple of days, which means I need to get filling them.
I'm gonna dance by myself like nobody's watching. Don't really care if my rhythm's off, 'cause I'm gonna dance like nobody's watching me. I'm gonna dance by myself like nobody's watching. Don't really care if my rhythm's off, 'cause I'm gonna dance like nobody's watching me.
That actually went a lot quicker than I thought. It was quite easy, but there's one reason I had been putting it off for so long, pretty much until I could get into long sleeve shirts, because of all this fiberglass dust. It's one of the last remaining areas of open fiberglass we have. This was a little bit less so, but still. And I had finally gotten to a point where there was no more fiberglass, and I wasn't dusty or itchy, and I wanted to keep it that way, so at least now it's done. I can get that faired out and get Matt ready to route these edges, and once that is done, we can get some primer on it. Matt is gonna do a coat of our Dicom, which, if you remember, we just put blue Dicom dye into denatured alcohol, which is then rubbed onto surfaces, sand off, and any remaining blue items are low spots that need to be filled.
I don't know if I've said this yet, but I should have made molds,
Yes.
or better molds than what I did. This has taken a lot more work to get them smoothed out and cleaned up than what I anticipated. So we could have saved quite a bit of time had I spent the extra hour or two, or whatever it is, to make a proper mold with the corners especially, and these straight areas. It would have,
Yeah, even for three separate ones.
Out.
Yeah.
And I think it would have had a better product. Or if Jess would have let me make these out of wood.
I know.
I originally wanted to make them out of the white oak that we're using for the cabinets. Jess didn't like the look, so here we are.
And that is because I made this decision when we went on the Kinetic catamaran like 2 or 3 years ago at the Annapolis Boat Show. It had white frames around like white doors. It looked very sleek and clean, and I was like, oh, I want that on our boat. So here we are. When this mask goes on, you know some serious work is about to happen. Let's go route those edges. For the areas that are closest to bulkheads, Matt has had to go through and make adjustments to the router so it can set further back since he couldn't use the one wall, but you'll see what I mean.
very well done jig, as you can see. The whole idea was to get it so this base plate was, the whole idea was to get this base plate so it wasn't getting in the way of where the door trim was going. So let's raise it up about 3/4 inch here, just to get it so it would glide over the edge of the trim instead of being impacted by it. So quick and easy, but it did allow us to at least get another couple of feet of trim done before we have to go through and manually try to make that edge or that radius in there.
Now Matt is manually going over these areas and hitting some of the small areas that I still couldn't get to with the router because of the tight corners. After getting the edges routed, we had a lot of pinhole marks kind of in here and just some general low spots still, especially up in these corners here. So we have decided that we're not quite ready to prime these yet, but we did just do a priming the other day. These coves are going to be next. We want to do the final high build primer on them before we get the very last coat of finish primer on, so then we can get actual paint on. So areas like this that haven't even been primed yet, we're trying to get them basically done before primer ever goes on, because once primer does go on, we want to be able to sand it off and then get that finished primer on. So we're going to kind of take another day or two with these, fill all those little spots that need it, then get primer on them, and get finished primer on the rest of this hole.